Welcome, everybody, to Wisdom Seekers. We're here today to talk about the tool of acceptance, right? The power of surrender. Quick backstory in under a minute. This Wisdom Seekers group has been meeting for roughly 3 years, twice a week at 6:45 in the morning on Tuesdays and Fridays. When you add that up, that's some 1,000 meetings. And we're talking about these deeper subjects from harmony to nature, inspiration, curiosity. And we realized that what we were discussing could be of so much help to other wisdom seekers out there, other wisdom seekers who might find this in a distant time or place. And so if you do, then I hope you create value out of this podcast for yourself by hearing the message. And as always, taking what resonates with you and leaving the rest. So today's topic is acceptance. My name is Rafa, and I am a wisdom seeker. And today I seek connection with my fellow wisdom seekers, connection to myself and my deeper spirit and soul, and connection to this energy of acceptance. 10 years ago, I had no idea what this word meant, at least not functionally. I think loosely hearing around acceptance, I guess I'd probably respond and say, well, it's important to accept others and accept how everybody's different and accept all of our, different choices and allow everyone to have their own life. But I didn't understand acceptance as in having acceptance for reality exactly as it is. Being at peace with things just as they are and not trying to change things so that I feel better, but probably most importantly, not losing myself in obsessive opinions about how things should be. I think part of my struggles in life came from the fact that things would go different than how I wanted, and I would get frustrated and irritated and upset by it. You throw in not really understanding the tool of forgiveness, and next thing you know, I'm frustrated by so many things in reality, and I'm resentful to the people who did it. And that combination created this toxic stew inside of me that I've since learned how to cleanse my inner being through acceptance and forgiveness. And I'll be darned, after going through this process of clearing my system through learning how to really use acceptance and forgiveness, I view reality so much different. And I feel so different. And all of that anxiety has gone away, and all that depression has gone away because I've stopped looking at the negative things that I can't change. And I've started focusing on what is mine to control. And I believe that's a meaningful part of acceptance. Having a clear understanding of what's mine to own, what's inside my hula hoop, and what isn't mine to own. The traffic, the weather, the news. There are so many things that the voices in my head get frustrated about and attached to. That I really don't have any control over. And I've now come to find the comfort in ease and serenity of just having for acceptance for everything as it is, and not feeling this need to try and control other things or even have opinions about them. And that ease, that sense of inner peace, that sense of serenity for me is the payoff of acceptance. For me, that's the reason I use it 35 times a day. Because I don't want to go around feeling upset and frustrated. To me, that just doesn't feel like a very fun experience. But the thing is I knew before it wasn't a fun experience, but no one had taught me about this concept of acceptance, that I can really just surrender, let the universe do its thing, and not feel like I need to have my fingerprints impressed upon everything that comes my way. And so part of acceptance for me is just beginning to wear life as a loose garment, easing up, relaxing, being able to say to myself, thy will be done, knowing that the universe is unfolding exactly as it's going to. And although not everything happens with a reason, I find that everything can happen with a purpose. And for me, a lot of that time, that purpose is being able to find the gem and the jewel of growth when I go through the muck and the mire of the things that I find frustrating or undesirable, because those things will happen. Life is lifing. Life is lifing. But am I going to become frustrated, irritated, and try and control it? Or am I going to say, let me take my hands off the wheel so that I have enough space and perspective to be able to try and learn what the lesson is. Instead of obsessing of how I want things to be different, I have the opportunity to instead put my magic magnifying mind on, cool, how can I grow from this situation? So for me, that's this first jump into acceptance, accepting reality as it is, not trying to control everything, instead trying to contribute to the stream of life, and really choosing serenity and inner peace as the bullseye of what I'm shooting for, rather than make reality look like what my ego imagination tells me it's supposed to look like. I'll end with this. I try not to should all over the place. My brain will say, this should be like that should be like that. Once I hear the word should, I'm good with that. And a preemptive act of acceptance for me is to walk into situations, with the words no expectations. So no expectations for me is a fantastic code that opens my mind, opens my heart, and opens me up to not clenching so tightly to events before I even walk into them, that I can say to myself, no expectations. Everything kind of opens up and gets a little bit easier. So with that, that's my share. I'll kick it over. Does another fellow wisdom seeker want to jump in and take the mantle next? David Peters.
Good morning, David Peters, wisdom seeker, and really wanting and feeling connection this morning. The acceptance tool, I thought I understood a while back when I could accept. I was told, with things going on in the world and accepting this, accepting so and so. But what I've really come full face with pretty quickly is acceptance of things that are going on with me right now. I've gone from a guy who's runs 100 miles an hour most of the time to watching each step. It's been a very strange transition in the last 3 months more than anything. Just, as you see, I have a thing in my nose and I don't want to focus on that, but accepting the fact that this is where I am has been almost, it's a blessing, I think. I feel like I know more about myself right now than I ever have, um, just by being where I am, listening to other people, accepting things that I can and can't do, and knowing that maybe things that I can no longer do will be replaced by other things that I can do. For example, just um, I love to be active. I love to ski. I love to play golf. I love to um, just be an active person. And I've come face to face with probably I'm never going to ski again. That sounds like, wow, that's going to happen. But I'm pretty sure just because of altitude and everything else, I think I'll get off this tube. But I think altitude will always be a challenge to me. Uh, but I've also learned things that I've slowed myself down to do, which is a lot more reading, which is, I would say, back into my heart, but not as much as I'd like, but I know it'll happen. And it's just accepting the the reality personally. It's um it's an open window to me to explore myself more and to explore my relationships with other people, and that's been very, very telling. And understanding that um, certain things I have expectations for may not occur, may not occur. I'll keep working on them, but maybe that expectation is something that I shouldn't have. So that's kind of where I am today. I look at all of you people, and I know, having listened to you, um, how much you've helped me along this path, and Rob, I think it's a great idea to share this. So that's my share for this morning. And I'm going to kick it over to Greg this morning. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, David. Good morning, everybody. Greg Wisdom Seeker. What a great topic. Believe it or not, I didn't always practice acceptance. My own form of mental illness was that if something was too harsh a reality, I chose to ignore it. If something was too ugly, I pretended it wasn't there. I don't know where I got that idea, but it seemed perfectly logical to me for many, many years. And it was a fantasy world, which led to, some other mental illnesses like alcoholism and drug addiction for me. But not only have I found acceptance to be beautiful and the answer to a lot of my problems, if not all of them, radical acceptance, I want to talk about a little this morning, if I may. Radical acceptance is like David Peters was just talking about, accepting my sorrows, accepting my troubles. This is the radical acceptance, because I believe today I'm calling it hugging the cactus, man, because it's the yin and the yang. You know, I have to accept all of this life to appreciate. You know, you only know this. You only know the sweet by tasting the sour. You only know the cold by the heat. It we are born into duality, and so here I was seeking only pleasure and running from pain, but it's only by embracing the whole ball of wax that we get to know it all. And I don't know, I still don't know if we can see quotes on this podcast, but I'm in the habit of bringing quotes, and I will probably continue until told to stop. But Joseph Campbell, one of my favorite guys who is no longer with us, says, "If you are falling, dive. We are in a free fall into future. We don't know where we're going. Things are changing so fast, and always when you're going through a long tunnel, anxiety comes along, and all you have to do to transform your fall into paradise, or your hell into a paradise, is to turn your fall into a voluntary act." It's a very interesting shift of perspective. And that's all it is, a joyful participation in the sorrows, and everything changes. And man, oh man, perspective. Um, I just have to say yes to this adventure. Yes, certainly I don't have to answer the big questions of, does this serve a purpose? Did I ask for this? Is this God? Is this, but certainly this is what is, man. This is what is, and I'm going to throw myself into it, and I'm going to embrace it, and I'm going to dance with it, and I'm going to learn whatever lesson may be inherent in it, because it is what is today. It is what is today, and certainly, if I embrace it that way and dance with it, there's something that can be learned from it. Each and every single thing that happens to me is an opportunity for me to learn something. I see that today, especially if I'm uncomfortable with something. If something brings up something in me, I know that here's something that I need to deal with, because this is, and that's exactly the type of stuff I used to drink and run from. This makes me uncomfortable. Well, great. This is a chance for you to learn something, Greg. A comfort zone is a wonderful place, but nothing ever grows there. Something I've really learned to remember today. Anyway, with that, I'm going to go with Edwina.
Good morning, Edwina, Grateful Wisdom Seeker. What a beautiful topic. I mean, what we all can use is some acceptance. And I feel like in the past few weeks, it's been very trying. But yes, I love Tara Brach's radical acceptance. And it's basically, it is what it is. And she tells a story in the book of Buddha or Siddhartha underneath the lotus tree, and along comes Mara, which is the shadow side of the human self. And you know what Buddha would do? He had to invite the shadow side to tea. And if I think about having tea with these negative emotions of angst and anxiety and fear that are coming up, especially around here these days, that, yeah, you know what? I gotta like, if you think about having tea with somebody, you don't judge them. You sit there and you're quiet with them and you enjoy the tea together and maybe don't care for the person, but you have tea with them. So I'm trying to have tea with some of the fear and everything that's been coming up with the fires and all that. And just she talks about rain, about beginning to realize what's going on, accepting, investigating, and then nurturing. To me, acceptance has to come with gratitude and compassion because with accept, I just, I'm not grateful for the fires at all, but out of there's going to have to be some positivity that's going to come out of it. I don't, that's a hard one, but I just have to call upon on the faith, and I have to nurture my feelings and other people's feelings because it's a hard time now, and I've been blessed with a miracle. My friend's house was saved, but yeah, is it a miracle? Anyways, enough about that. It's for me, acceptance is like letting go of the judge, being with these feelings and nurturing myself and others. Anyways, I could babble on about this for so long. But Chris, good morning. Hi. Want to share?
I'd love to share as soon as I can find that mute button. So acceptance, I would call like the single most important thing that I've learned in my life almost. And also from the 12-step program I'm in. I fully believe in acceptance. I think the funny thing is though, is I'm always telling other people they should have better acceptance. So I don't know if that's some sort of ethical quandary or whatever, but acceptance to me comes from the serenity prayer. So basically, though, I would be the most least religious person I know. I use the serenity prayer in every moment of my life. So I'll just say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the courage to change the things I can. Um, Obviously, that's the shorter version because I get nervous when I'm talking in front of large groups of people. But it is so important. I look at every situation. I go, can I change this? No. Like when I think of the world's huge problems that make me want to cry or feel overwhelmed with, or what's happening all over the world, or who the president is or is not, all that stuff. That stuff is so much easier to think of when I accept that I can't change it and I need to move on. And that's what acceptance really is to me: is closing the book, moving on to the next thing instead of worrying about the thing that was just behind me because I left it behind because I accepted my part in it. So so that's basically all I got. I'll go to Vince.
Thanks, Chris. I'm Vince. I'm a wisdom seeker. I put a quote in the what do you call it, chat thing, and it says, "I'm not surfing if I'm paddling." So sometimes it's better just to stand up and ride life than try and steer it too much or fight against it. And Groucho Marx once said, he said, "I'm not crazy about reality, but it's the only place to get a decent meal." And if I keep it light, and try to understand that everything's going my way, as opposed to everything's not going my way, then I find that it's easier for me. So, like, I guess you could call it acceptance, but it's just what it is, man. It's life, and I can either appreciate it, see it for what it is, and enjoy it, or and another thing is that I've been able to the things that I can change are like my attitude towards things. So I'm open to all the new ideas, and the more that I stay open to new ideas, the less that I'm clinging to old ones. Like, um, oh my gosh, there's this new president Chris was talking about. Well, let's see how it works out. It could be a good thing. Be open. How about just finding out what God's plan is by watching it? Because the way that you know what God's will is you look around, because it's what's happening. All right. And I will choose who's in here. How about Eagle?
Hey, good morning. My name's Kevin. I'm a wisdom seeker, and what a great meeting. Thank you guys for waking me up and giving my morning dose. It's important that I step away from my ego in the morning and try to get to my heart. And this is definitely a big step in that, is just being here. Sometimes the hardest part of working out or living is just stepping up and being there and making it. And so I'm definitely at step one here. So to me, there's a quote called, "The greatest gift that you can give to others is the gift of unconditional love and acceptance." Um, when I was a child, I had a pretty tough upbringing. And my father was physically abusive. My father was a military father. We lived all over the world. It was a difficult, difficult childhood. But my mother showed me unconditional love. And so my choice was to focus on the good things in your life, in my life, no matter how small they were and how small they seemed. I appreciated the little things, because it can change in an instant. There's two sides to acceptance. There's Acceptance is like a two-sided coin. There's the impertinence of it, where things are changing and dying. And there's the unconditional truth of it, where you can cultivate contentment and watch your heart fill with joy and peace. And so I chose the unconditional love part. And I was very thankful that my mother gave that to me. And even though she died early, it was probably one of the most important things that ever happened in my life. It got me healthy, and I changed my entire life, and I started to accept my life for what it was worth. And so for me, I flip the coin in the morning, and the way that that coin lands is I accept, but I also have a chance to wake up in the morning and go from my head to my heart and accept that there's limited things going on in my life, but there's also amazing things going on in my life. So you can either walk outside and look at the flowers, or walk outside and look at the negativity that's walking around. It's up to you. So today, I hope that we can all have a wonderful week. And I'm definitely love you guys, and appreciate the unconditional love that's here in this room. And have a wonderful day. Let's see. I think there's someone named TJ. Hi, TJ. Would you like to share?
Yes, hi, it's Timmy. Good morning, wisdom seekers. Boy, I didn't know how much I needed you guys this morning. Thank you. The nuggets. Good stuff. I don't know what's happening. I don't know. I hear that there's like 6 planets that are aligning, and they're calling it the planetary parade. I just seem really out of whack, like out of sync, I feel like I had such a great connection to the divine. I feel like it's been cut. I don't know. I just feel like I'm just spinning out, like I'm my old self again, that I really don't like to be coping with things. I mean, I got sick, so I'm still getting over that, but it really affected me. Being in bed for 5 days for someone that's like a energizer bunny, it took me down, like mentally, like being in a space. I felt so claustrophobic. I wasn't around people. I was disconnected, and I feel like it's continued, and especially with all of the energy that's going on in California. Sorry, my thing just went off. I don't know. I just feel really out of whack. Um, so, and I can't get my video back on. It says disabled. I don't know, Rafa, if you can help with that. But I guess for me today, acceptance is accepting the fact that I need to do it and know that there's support all around me. Um, live more in gratitude. I was talking to a friend yesterday. Thank God I talked to her, because I was like in one of those spiral out moments. And she's really happy. Like, this girl, I've known her since college. It's a long time, 35 years. She is so happy all the time. It's not fake. And I said, Lisa, why are you this way? And she said, because every single moment of the day, every single second, I'm so grateful to be alive. And I thought, gosh, why? And she said, because I was adopted, and I almost wasn't here, but I was given to a family that loved me, and I had a great upbringing, and I might not have been here. So I'm grateful every second to be alive. And I thought, you know what? I shouldn't take my life for granted, nor the little things, because gratitude and love, when we accept that into our lives, definitely makes for a better life. So thank you.
And that brings us around the circle. So we're going to step into second sight now. Thank you guys so much. That was a great go around. Let me just change the video view here, gallery mode. And so, thank you everybody for bringing those quotes. A couple quotes came to mind. One thing that I have to remind myself is that happiness isn't about having what I want. It's about wanting what I have. And taking a second and taking a breath to reconnect to that truth and really feel that truth instead of just mentalize it, right? That happiness isn't about getting what I want. It's about wanting what I have. Helps right size me a little bit. And, I find that in my own growth, I cannot change something that I cannot accept, right? And so when I'm not accepting things, it doesn't sound like I refuse to accept this fact. It usually sounds like some version of denial or finger pointing at someone else or distracting myself. That's probably a big one. Distracting myself away from this thing so I don't have to look at it. But the truth is that I can't change anything that I can't accept. And that for me is like the first step. And I also heard it said about the importance of cleaning our own side of the street. And that's another area. If I'm finding a hitch in my development or growth and I can't quite seem to accept this thing, it's strangely, there's this thing I'm trying to accept and it's just strangely elusive. Why is it that I'm having such a hard time and I'm still frustrated about this stuff? A lot of times it's because I haven't accepted my side of the street. A lot of times it's because somewhere in that situation, I've done something that I actually haven't come to account with myself with, and I need to accept the fact that I'm an imperfect human. Oh, wait, I was part of that situation and I goofed up. Right. Sometimes my brain tries to make it out that it's everybody else. And if I'm having a hard time getting over that situation, then I have to look at my side of the street and see if there's anything there for me to clean. And I'll end with this quote before I kick it over. So anybody else who's ready for second sight, get ready. But this is a quote by Marcus Aurelius, right? And here, he's writing this as he's operating the largest empire on the planet at the time. And he writes in his own journal and meditations, "You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control. These things are not asking to be judged by you. Leave them alone." And I think if he can take on that attitude while running a giant empire, I think I can take that attitude on with my daily work stuff. my brain doesn't need to have opinions about everything, because when it does, that's when I struggle. So part of acceptance for me is just not having the need to entertain or slow dance every opinion that my brain has, and just being able to have the awareness like those are just opinions. So with that, we kick it over to Second Sight, to whomever would like to jump in.
Me. In the midst of all the, smoke and fire and everything here, I found myself, I can usually get grounded, stay grounded. I was having a real hard time. And then I realized, what do I do? There's a painting I look at when it's all gray, and it's in the middle of it, there's a dark, it's like a cave. And in the middle of it, years ago, I etched, it was either going to be dog or God. And in the middle of all the darkness and everything, if I can find faith, and it's there in my heart, but if I can quiet my mind, because it's not a judgment, it's when I can get to that, for me to fill that dark spot is faith. And even before the election, I was going to go, you know what? It's going to be okay. We may not like it. And I don't like a lot of things, but that's my judge. And it's going to be okay. And somehow there's going to be, I keep seeing a green sprout coming up from the earth, because eventually that's going to happen. Anyways, my key is faith and compassion. Thank you.
All right, I stumbled on another Groucho Marx quote. He said, "Blessed are the cracked, for they let in the light." And that's what I have found, man. The more cracked up a person is that finds the light, the better, the more I enjoy being around them. I mean, it's the strangest thing, but people that have, had it together their whole life, they're just, I don't know, man. They're just, I mean, no offense, but you're boring. And you don't know how bad it can get, so you don't know how good you got it. And I've had it pretty rotten, and I've got it really good, and probably not compared to somebody that's had it all together their whole life. But for me, I really feel like, I mean, life is going really good. I'm taking my fiance to Morro Bay, and we're going to be going some surfing. Last weekend, we went to San Diego and did some surfing. And while we're not rich, we're enjoying life for all it has to offer. And that's that. And one day when I can't go out on the golf course, or I can't go out surfing, then I'll find some other way to enjoy it. Maybe I'll go back into my art like David has, and find relief and love there. So it's, for me, it's life does, it's not, I having to accept it. I don't feel like I'm having to accept it. Whenever I was trying to fight it, I found myself getting worse and worse and worse. And ever since I've just been able to go with the flow, things have just gotten better and better and better. So there you go.
I'll unmute myself. Sitting here, I'm thinking about acceptance, and I have had, I guess, the biggest lesson ever this with the fire. I have either corresponded or talked with many, many people who have lost their homes. And the amazing thing to me has been their acceptance of what's happened. To the person, I would say, most people have said to me, yes, we lost our home, but we're okay. We're together. Our family's okay. And it's been for me, the biggest lesson, because I listen to them, and it's real. And you think, oh, you can just say that, but no, there's gratitude in that. And I think it goes a long way to what we're talking about today. I did want to I put in a quote by not Han, what I never can say his name. Radical acceptance offers us an invitation to embrace ourselves with all our pain, fear, and anxieties, and to step lightly yet firmly on the path of understanding and compassion. And along with that, I think in one of our meetings, I heard a quote. Someone said, "Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional." And I think that's kind of the way I look at it. I accept what's happening, but we don't need to suffer with it. We need to embrace it and move on. So have a very accepting day.
Edwina, I wanted to just say that I love that you picked the word God or dog for the middle of your painting, because dog spelled backwards is God. And I'm with mine right now, and there's a lot of them that I'm seeing. And I just thank you all, because I feel like my divine connection is reestablished for this moment. And I appreciate that, because it feels so much better. So thank you. Very grateful.
All right, if anybody else has a third site to come in on, I'd say for me, my closing thoughts on acceptance. There's a Winston Churchill quote that says, "You will never reach your destination if you stop and throw stones at every dog that barks." You will never reach your destination if you stop and throw stones at every dog that barks. You know, to what David was saying, right? Pain is universal, but suffering is optional. And today is going to happen. There's going to be good things, there's going to be perceivably bad things. But how much attention do I give the negative? And you know, the fires have been brought up a couple times, and to timestamp this for anyone who's watching this in the future, you know, this is happening. This podcast is happening a week after, you know, huge fires in LA County, to where, you know, thousands of people are displaced and have lost their homes. And an interesting thing that I've observed in listening to people who live in the Palisades and are worried about their homes, or maybe have lost their homes, is just this unique anecdote. And it's not a commentary from me on any side, just an observation. I don't have an opinion about this. This is just reflecting. Overhearing people who have been evacuated and they're worried about their homes. And there's this deep distress. There's this deep fear and deep anxiety that's so understandable, that I think would grip any human when they have to pack up all their stuff, or just not even get a chance to pack up and just leave. And then there's listening to people who have already lost their homes and hearing, almost to a person, the people who have lost their homes say something like, really puts things in perspective, because, you know, we're alive. My family's alive. That's what's most important. And everything else, there was some stuff that was irreplaceable, but for the most part, we're going to figure it out. We're going to start anew. We'll replace that stuff. It's going to be okay. And what's interesting is, in that second grouping where they had fully lost their home, a sense of radical acceptance sets in. A sense of surrender to this truth of, like, there's really nothing that I can do. There is no miracle, no nothing that is going to bring this home back. It is gone. There's a finality to it. But as long as there's hope, as long as there's potential for that first group, the people who had to evacuate, As long as there's hope, then there also comes along with that the fear. And so, once again, not a commentary on it, nor do I have an opinion about that, just reflecting back an observation I've had of people who have been in that situation, how they talk about it, and how, for whatever reason, I guess I'll speak for myself. When I get put in a position where I no longer have a choice, when I get put in a position where there's no longer a hope about this, there's just finality, then in that space of finality, I don't have any other move except for acceptance. In the space of finality, I don't have any choice except for make myself suffer intensely or surrender to the fact that reality is reality at the end of the day. So with that, does anybody else have a second sight before we close out? Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining me for acceptance. I'm going to turn this recording off and we're going to switch gears and go into our meditation.